On today's episode of Andy Ari On3 presented by BetMGM, we talk the situation at Alabama. I co-bylined a story with Chris Lowe from On3 about what's going on right now at Alabama. Let's put it this way. The natives are restless, and not just the rank and file, but also the folks who donate the big money. We will also talk about Brian Kelly versus Dabo Swinney. Little extracurriculars after the LSU Clemson game. Also, Nipplegate has been solved. Mystery solved. We know what happened. We know the answer definitively now. We'll talk about that. Plus, Brett McMurphy from On3 joins us to talk Penn State getting with Adidas, dropping Nike. All of that and more on Andy and Ari on 3. We are brought to you by BetMGM, and if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, download that app now. Use the bonus code CFB as in college football, CFB, and you'll get up to $1,500 off your first bet offer on your first wager at BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the app and sign up using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. Also, if you've already signed up, we've got a Parlay Boost token, CFB, college football Parlay Boost token. No matter where the college football action is, there's nothing like getting in the game and leveling up your next parlay. Use this Parlay Boost token to boost your potential payout from a winning college football parlay on September 5th or 6th, so Friday or Saturday of this week. Also, September 5th and September 6th, a college football no sweat parlay token. Go for the end zone without breaking a sweat with a college football no sweat parlay token. You get your stake back in bonus bets if you don't win. So sign up for BetMGM today. Use the code CFB and get yourself in the action. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. And Ari, we got to talk about the Tide. It is, it's getting pretty dire pretty early in Tuscaloosa. And I realize it's only been one game, but Chris Lowe and I combined on a story for On3 that ran today. You can read it. It's free for everyone to read. And Chris got some really interesting stuff from some pretty big Alabama donors, you know, people who have paintings on the wall, people who are kind of the engine of the athletic department, and they are not happy. And I think part of the issue, Ari, is they're seeing a pattern here. And the question is it a pattern or not? Because Kalen DeBoer says it's not a pattern. But basically, Alabama has 4 losses under Kalen DeBoer to teams that they were favored to beat by at least 13.5 points. Nick Saban hardly ever lost to that type of team. As you can see, it is getting toward DEFCON. I think Chris said DEFCON 3 from DEFCON, down from DEFCON 4.
Yeah. So the thing that I thought was most interesting was a very interesting story, but the thing that stood out to me, and I think is standing out to most people, specifically Alabama fans, isn't just that they lost the game. It was the lack of effort in getting pushed around when you have superior talent. And I think that more than anything, Andy, is a direct finger to the coach, right? Like if you can't even do that, then let alone all the hardest parts about the sport, which is getting the best players and, you know, having all the best resources and investment from your university and a coach that understands that you need to weaponize that investment. If you use all that and then you get the right players, you know, and I guess there was some debate about whether or not the right players, but at least with the talented players, one of the most talented teams in the entire country, if not the most talented team, to get their butts kicked. And, I think even, the term loaf, which is not playing to the whistle or, easing up, like I think I saw they had 24 on film. Like, that is all coaching.
Yeah, the thing, you have the coaches, they always talk about the things that take no talent, TNT, which is something that actually Kalen DeBoer uses, that takes no talent. They actually failed pretty miserably against Florida State in the takes no talent department. They were not aggressive. They were not getting after the ball. They were not swarming on defense. They were absorbing blows. It was exactly the stuff that every coach preaches against. And we got to give Florida State a lot of credit here, because Florida State played a great game. And that offensive line, shout out Herb Hand, the offensive line coach there. He had them ready to play. Some of those young defensive linemen, the Desir twins, through the freshmen from Miami, holy crap, they're awesome. There's a play where Daryl Desir, who's a 262-pound freshman defensive end, takes Caden Proctor, who is 6'7", 366, believed to be a first-round prospect, and it's a run play. So Proctor's not moving backward. He's trying to move forward and push this 100 pounds lighter guy out of the way. And Daryl Desir, true freshman, jacks up Caden Proctor, drives him back, and the running back just runs straight into Caden Proctor's back. Like, it is bad what it looked like on film. And I think that's the issue. And so this is what an Alabama donor told Chris Lowe. It's a very telling quote. He said, "We're spoiled." I don't know if it's a he. Could be he or she. Said, "We're spoiled, always have been. But when we put a team out there that looks uninspired, like we have far too many times these past 2 years, and lose to teams that we're clearly more talented than, that's when it becomes a problem, and not just a bunch of spoiled fans griping." And that's the thing. I think the other fan bases are saying, "Oh, you guys are so spoiled." And, the Schadenfreude, there it is. Evident. Like, of course, everybody else is going to laugh at Alabama for being angsty about losing a few games. But this is one of those things where they're losing games in ways that if it wasn't Alabama, if it wasn't coming off of Nick Saban, if this was Auburn, if this was Florida, if this was LSU, if this was Tennessee, if this was Georgia, they would feel exactly the same way, no matter who the coach was before. If you were losing games this way to teams that you're supposed to beat by this much, they would have big problems with it.
Yeah. I mean, what's the number one way of evaluating a coach that, I mean, I guess even the purest way is what do you have and what did you do? Right? Like, it's not, there's so many more deeper ways to evaluate how a coach is doing. How are they recruiting? Do they understand how to build a culture? All these different intangible things that you can't really measure, but you can, thanks to On3 and, services like it, pretty accurately measure talent level. And then also you have other tools like the Senior Bowl lists and the past NFL draft numbers and NFL draft projections that kind of give you an idea of how much talent is on a team. And anytime you have a square and clear talent advantage and it looks like that, like, that's the thing. Like, whenever you're seeing, I covered a program that was favored by 14 points in 9 of their 12 games, and they have this.
Ohio State and Alabama are very similar. Yeah.
Right. And when you're watching them play not well, at times you can tell through body language and the way that they show up and how they're playing in the first quarter that there's this like lackadaisical glaze over their eyes where they're kind of just, going through the motions. There's no passion. There's no energy. And like, if you're an Alabama team that missed the playoff last year, lost to 2 teams just like this a year ago, your coach is already starting to feel a little bit of the heat on his ass from the hot seat. Like, you're going on the road to a traditionally excellent program. I know that they had a bad year last year, but Florida State on the road is still Florida State on the road. And then you come out with that. If you can't even get up for the opener of your own season after a disappointing year a year ago, like, that lands square on the face of the head coach and his temperament. And there's no other way to put it. So, Alabama fans are spoiled. And I think that their expectations that things are just going to continue to move on like they like nothing changed when Nick Saban retired would be insane. But I also think that there's a baseline level of expectation that exists at all those places that you just named that was not met by Alabama. And then on top of it, Nick Saban was there 2 years ago and was awesome. So like it's all one big perfect storm. But Andy, I think you're going to talk about this, but you mentioned in a chat with River and I yesterday, Damian Square's like pre-game speech.
Oh yeah.
He wrote about this in the story. Like that's what you want. Like you might not win all your games, but you want your team to act like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you take them through it.
Yeah, Damian Square played D-line for the Crimson Tide from 2008 to 2012. And there's every kind of era of the Saban era, every little sub-era of the Saban era had people like this, whether it was Damian Square, whether it was Jonathan Allen, whether it was Rolando McClain. They all had people like this who kind of led the way, enforced the standard in the locker room. And so I don't know what year this was. Scott Cochran, the former strength coach, who's now the head coach at West Alabama, he posted this last year on Instagram. And I'm assuming it's probably 2011 or 2012 when Damian Square was a veteran. And he's talking to the rest of the D-line. And he's saying, and I'll censor it here, but he didn't censor himself. It ain't my fault you're the next man on the mother bleeping schedule. We're Bama. That's what we do. They talk that blank because they're scared. We ain't talking no blank. We run into their house. We blowing that B up, and we're going home. That's the routine. That's how we do it. It won't change today. I promise you. Ari, I have no idea who they were playing. They could have been playing LSU. They could have been playing Georgia State.
I mean,
they all would have been the same every time.
It would support the claim if it was Georgia State.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. You want the energy and you want the passion that, illustrated in that video. And Alabama, there's not a single person, even the most prudent, most honest Alabama fan in the world cannot lie and act like they were playing with passion on Saturday. They were playing without.
Well, I don't think the Alabama fans at all would say they did. I think the Alabama fans were the most critical. More critical than anyone else, because everybody else is saying, oh, you guys are nuts. You're spoiled. The buyout's too big. And okay, let's talk about the buyout. And again, I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer is going to get fired. He has plenty of time to turn this around, but it is getting late early. The games are very hard. If you can't beat last year's version of Andy, last year's version of Oklahoma, if Florida State is not awesome, if they're just merely good, and you get beat like that, when you play Georgia, when you play Missouri, when you play Tennessee, when you play South Carolina, when you play LSU, when you play Oklahoma, when you play Auburn, you're dealing with essentially the same thing or better. And I didn't even mention Vandy, which Diego Pavia says he's going to go beat him again. So you've got to understand that. So, but let's talk about the buyout, because I want to explain something that I explain a lot on this show. So I think the people who watch it all the time know this. But if you're new here, the structure of the buyout is always more important than the amount of the buyout. The most prohibitive buyout in the SEC right now is Mark Stoops at Kentucky. It is not the most. It is about half of what Kalen DeBoer's is. I would say the Stoops one, I think, is at $34 million if he did it after this season. The difference is the Stoops one is due fully within 2 months of you firing him. He's never getting fired like that. That is never going to happen. Nobody is going to pay that amount of money in a lump sum that quickly. Kalen DeBoer's, on the other hand, is a monthly payment, equal monthly installments from when it happens through December 31st, 2031. When it happens like that, when it's set up like that, it becomes a line item. It becomes something you can plan for, something you can work around.
Mm-hmm.
That is why it's different. So you can talk about the amount all you want, but this is Alabama. If they are not satisfied, they will do something about it. It's not just because Nick Saban just coached there. It's because it's Alabama. And everybody's saying, but Joe, don't you remember before Saban, they weren't good? Yeah. There were 5 coaches between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban. That's 5 coaches in 15 years. They're not patient people. And they never have been.
Yeah. So you've played in an SEC locker room, and you've been in SEC locker rooms and football locker rooms your whole life. If you don't play passionately, how can you fix that? Like how? Like
I don't know, because that's a player thing. It's not even a coach. Well, the coach has to train the players to do it, but it's a player-led thing. Like those old Alabama teams, that 2015 group, I think, is a great example. I think that was Nick Saban's best player-led team because they won the national title, and I would say that is not necessarily his best team that won the national title. They had a group of guys, Jonathan Allen, Dalvin Tomlinson, A'Shawn Robinson, who in the locker room enforced how everything should be done, the standard you would play to. If you didn't do that at practice, they called you out immediately. And that's the thing. If you don't have that already and the season has already started, I don't know how you build that in season.
Right. And if it's a characteristic that has carried over from the previous season, what's the only common denominator? I know a lot of the players are the same, but the coach, needs to instill that. And that if you come out of the gate in game one of the following year, I have zero confidence that that's going to be fixed or fixed enough for them to get out of the hole they need to get out of. Cause they need to go 10-2 for this. Remember, we came into the year and this is what I struggle with because we have all these narratives and discussions in the offseason of if so-and-so doesn't do X, then Y is going to happen. And then when a partial portion of X starts to happen, then Y becomes less clear. It's like before the year started, we said that if Alabama isn't 10-2 and in the playoff, then Kalen DeBoer was going to be in deep trouble. So I think it's important now to understand that they're 0-1. And I still believe that if they're not 10-2, he's in deep trouble, which means that we have to deduce what he must do for the rest of the year, which is go, 9-1 in the 9-1 in the remainder of his games.
10-1.
Try to get into the 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah,
we're bad at math podcast.
10-1 for the remainder of his games and try to get into the SEC championship. Now that's completely possible, but if you show the tape over and over and over again of what you saw against Florida State, and then you've got Wisconsin, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn still on the schedule, do you really think they're only going to lose one more time?
That's the problem. Okay, here's a quote from Kalen DeBoer this week that I thought was really interesting. He said, "How I can address the team is completely different than a year ago. We don't need to speak in those terms, but it feels different. There's more of a flat out upset. I can use a lot of different words to explain it. Really upset about how it went." Does that mean they weren't upset last year when they lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma? Like, this is my problem. Like, you're trying to explain that it's not like last year. It was exactly like last year. That's the scary part.
Yeah. This year is not last year for sure. And you hear me say that all the time. Just because something happened last year doesn't mean it's going to happen this year. But the thing about losing is that you have an absolute permanent data point now to illustrate last year. Like whenever we compare like Oklahoma to this year and Oklahoma to last year and what our expectations are for the Sooners, nothing that happened last year has any impact. But if Oklahoma comes out on Saturday night against Michigan and can't block anybody and their offense looks like trash, then all of a sudden last year does become this year. That's what happened. So last year isn't this year, but I think you could make the case. I don't know. Vanderbilt was a shocking loss, but Vanderbilt turned out to be a much better team than
I would argue the Oklahoma loss was way more shocking than Vanderbilt because of how bad.
Hindsight,
Oklahoma had been annihilated by South Carolina and Ole Miss at that point. Annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
They were in deep trouble. Their offensive line was
rank the Florida
injured
State
and
loss?
bad. Their receivers were all hurt.
I would say the Florida State loss is the most shocking of the three.
Well, because you had all year to get ready. But at least with this one, you can say, well, we didn't have any film on these players in Gus Malzahn's offense or Tony White's defense. They are good players. We know they're good players. Like you can talk your way out of this. And I am going to give Kalen DeBoer the benefit of the doubt right now because he has all these other games to prove us wrong. So start with ULM this weekend and prove us wrong. And it's fine because we just showed you the schedule. Like if they get to 10-2, they earned it. They're fine. Mm-hmm. If they get to 9-3, it's probably still okay. Bama fans won't be happy about it, but it's probably still okay. You get an 8-4, 7-5 territory or worse, then you have a real problem. And Ari, can I point out?
Is that where you draw the line? Between
8-4 is where I draw the line.
8-4? Yeah.
8-4. Let me point out one game on this schedule. October 25th. at South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina.
Mhm.
Ari, we just saw South Carolina play. Do you recall who the offensive coordinator for South Carolina is right now?
South Carolina's offensive coordinator is on the tip of my tongue.
His dad was a really good NFL coach. He played quarterback at Alabama.
Shula.
Mike Shula. That's right.
Sorry.
Mike Shula. Mike Shula, the coach who was fired to pave the way for Nick Saban. I'm just saying, look at that schedule. They've got to play Georgia. They've got to play Missouri. They've got to play Tennessee. And then they play South Carolina, which is, by the way, before they play LSU. Loss number 4 is entirely possible to Mike Shula. Obviously, Shane Beamer's team, but it's just, this is what college football does. It brings out these storylines that are just wild and crazy.
I never would have put that together.
Yeah, it's that this is how it works. Like, there's always something like that every time in college football.
Yeah, but I got news.
We got to talk about a lot of that today because
sitting at 3 losses going into that game is already bad enough. Like, I don't know.
Right, and they're not going to be favored against Georgia. They lost to Vandy last year. Missouri's going to be good. That game's on the road. Tennessee beat them last year. I mean, so yeah, it's something that you need to keep an eye on. So we'll all be watching that Alabama ULM game a lot closer than we probably would have been. But it's fine. They're going to win that game. And then they're probably going to beat Wisconsin, but we're going to watch that game closer than we would have been. And we'll see if they can pull out of the slide. We'll see if they can get everybody on the same page, get people feeling like, hey, we are the aggressors. We are going to play to our high standard, not worry about the opponent we're playing. We're going to see if they can do that. Ari, we have other things to talk about. We've got a mystery that we've been dealing with since Saturday that has been solved. And we're going to talk about that. But first, I'm going to tell you about Gametime. Do you want to go to some of these games this weekend? Maybe you want to go to Alabama ULM. Probably you'd rather go to Michigan, Oklahoma. That's the game I think everybody would want to go to. Bryce Underwood making his first road start at Oklahoma. John Mateer facing his first premium quality opponent as Oklahoma's quarterback. Go to Gametime. Redeem the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Yeah, you can get into the stadium. It's a tough ticket. It's in the mid 3s, but you go to Gametime, you click, you can see exactly where you would sit in the stadium, exactly what your view would be from that seat. And also, the dollar amount you see is the dollar amount you will pay. There are no tacked on fees at the end when you go to checkout. That amount is what you're paying. So know that when you say, that looks like a good view, that seems like a fair price, when you click, you're going to get the ticket for that price. So go to gametime.co, download the app, redeem the code STAPLES, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Gametime is your place for last-minute college football tickets. All right, Ari, we got to talk. So on Saturday, you and I were in Anderson, South Carolina, about to head over to Memorial Stadium, to Death Valley. And we were at a wing place, and we're watching Ohio State, Texas. And before the game starts, a picture begins to float around the internet of Ryan Day. And it looks like Ryan Day, the esteemed Ohio State coach, the coach of the defending national champions, has a pierced nipple. Just one pierced nipple. Ari, the perpetrator of the nipple piercing, and not a person who actually pierces nipples, but someone who uses Canva, has admitted to it. We have sought permission to play the video, the confession, and we've been granted permission from Way Offsides Cotton to play the video, because I think Way Offsides Cotton would love for everybody to play his video. Mm-hmm. But here is Way Offsides Cotton's confession.
Sloth a few weeks ago that went crazy, but this one went nuts. For all of you out there, no, Ryan Day does not have a nipple piercing. He doesn't. I made it in Canva Saturday morning as a joke. Ryan Day, if you see that, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, brother. You keep doing you though. Even if you did have a nipple piercing, you know what? Let him have it. He's a grown man. And so I did not expect it to be that huge of a deal. And no, I did not add the I've seen a lot of comments asking about.
So there's another video of him screen recording how he did it, how he added the nipple piercing in Canva. My favorite part of it is if you wanted to have a nipple piercing, that's cool. As our guy Big Cat said, he goes, I would have respected him more if he had a nipple piercing.
So 2 things. One, anybody who listened to our show knows that I was very into this. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was hilarious. And I know that there were beat writers in the Ohio State facility during Ryan Day's press conference yesterday looking a little bit extra harder at his nipple than they would have otherwise. But you know what just occurred to me?
That an Alabama fan with Canva is the most dangerous person in America?
No, it's even deeper than that. Last year, 3-2-1 Knoll cursed his team. This is an Alabama fan who did this the day they're playing Florida State.
Oh my God.
Is Alabama?
This is the football gods taking it out on Alabama because way offsides Cotton gave Ryan Day a nipple piercing?
What if Alabama is now going to live? Alabama's going to live under the confinement of the nipple curse.
Wait. Can you break the curse if Kalen DeBoer gets his nipple pierced? Would that break the curse?
I think way offside Cotton has to get his nipple pierced.
Oh,
who perpetrated the
I feel like way offside Cotton's the kind of guy who would pierce his nipple just for the content, just for content purposes alone. So I think he might do it. And especially, okay, if Bama drops another one soon, if Bama lost to Vandy again, I think way offsides Cotton probably needs to go get his nipple pierced just in case.
I'm just saying curses have cursed in this sport. And I saw the video of the confession yesterday and I was thinking to myself,
oh my God.
Coincidence? I don't know.
Oh but my God. You are so, I didn't even think about that.
And like, how's the purest way that a curse can get transferred from one program to another? I mean, it went from Florida State's pads into Alabama's pads.
I love how you talk about it like it's a communicable disease.
Yeah. You get within 6
like
feet.
Alabama and Florida State had a big chicken pox party and Florida State cursed Alabama.
That's what it feels like. It was transferred. I mean, you know what I mean? Like too many coincidences.
You're right. You're right. I can't argue with anything you've just said. Unbelievable.
And I also just want to say the nipple ring curse all year. Like that would be great.
Yeah. So this is not going to affect Ohio State at all. Obviously, they beat Texas. They're fine. We have not talked as much about the Buckeyes because we were busy talking about Arch Manning. Can we talk about the Buckeyes a little bit? Because I'm feeling very good about them and their defense. I think their offense ended up having to play a really good Texas defense. So I am excited to see them going forward when they're playing a little bit less salty defenses to see what Julian Sayin and company can do. Because one thing I liked, Ari, we were wondering, Chip Kelly's gone. Brian Hartline's the offensive coordinator. We think he's calling the plays, but it may be Ryan Day calling the plays again. But whoever it is, they were feeding Jeremiah Smith from the get-go, which is something that it took them a while to figure out last year, which probably shouldn't have, but it did. This year, they seem to know it right off the bat, and it did a thing that you had talked about maybe a week ago where you said the feeding of Jeremiah Smith, the attention on Jeremiah Smith will open up things for everyone else. And everyone else in this case was Carnell Tate, who made the biggest play of the game, that catch. Max Clare, who got quite a few targets, the tight end transfer from Purdue. Ari, this offense, when they're not playing an elite defense, probably going to be real good.
Yeah, I am amused. And I know we're going to do a little bit of a Ohio State segment, so let me throw some gas on this fire here. But there was a pretty rampant debate online the past few days about rankings. And, I'm the first person that knows they don't matter. And I love how much people get fired up, but it is a good way to gauge and, talk about teams. And like for me, Ohio State beat Texas at home to open their season, makes them the unequivocal number one overall team. But there is a debate out there that LSU should be ranked number one. And I'm very amused by how information becomes malleable, within a one week period. But it's like Texas was the favorite to win the national title this year. Texas was the best team that we thought on paper from a personnel standpoint coming into the year. And Ohio State basically shuts them down for 4 quarters on their home field. And like now we're trying to relitigate why that might not have been the most impressive win of the weekend. And I think that that's kind of crazy.
I don't think it matters because
it doesn't.
They're all going to play some more games and the rankings will work themselves out. There's a way.
I'm using it as a way to open up the door of like Texas is really, really good and they're going to be very, very good. And Ohio State's defense absolutely swallowed them alive. And then offense, obviously, first-time starter too, in Julian Sayin. I thought he played an incredibly efficient game. If you actually go back and watch a lot of it, we were locked in at that at the sports bars. We ate 50 wings combined. You doing most of the work. But
thank you.
Can you come up with one identifiable mistake that Julian Sayin made that, a person watching it? I can think of one, and that was when he missed a wide open Jeremiah Smith, I think on the first or second drive of the game. I think it was the second drive on that pass that he threw to Max Clare on the sideline that was dropped. That would have been a first down.
Right, but he also threw it to Max Clare, who was open, who dropped the ball. So it wasn't like
down.
Yeah.
But like he didn't make any crippling mistakes. He seemed in command. He got the ball where it needed to go. He looked like he wasn't rattled, was in complete control of that game. And I think back because I covered a lot of first-time quarterback starts at Ohio State. And I think about CJ Stroud, and I think about a lot of the great players that went through it. I think you could make the case that although it wasn't a huge box score day for Ohio State, and rightfully so, they're playing, again, let me remind you, Texas. I think they might have found their next great quarterback. And I don't mean to jump 9 or 10 steps ahead.
You're such a prisoner of the moment. Good
I'm
Lord.
not a prisoner of the moment. I think that like it's 100% clear to me that he's going to be a very good player. I think you can learn a lot.
I am excited because he was playing against a defense that can really unnerve a quarterback, especially one that's not very experienced. And he didn't look intimidated. He didn't look baffled.
I thought he was
very much in control. Yep, he looked very much in control.
And in control. And I got news for you. No offense to anybody in the Big Ten. Maybe Penn State has something to say about this, but that's the best defense they're going to face all year. It's only going to get easier.
I think now. I think Penn State has something to say about it, but I don't think Texas and Penn State's defense are going to be appreciably different in terms of talent and execution.
To the next point. When you think about all of the great players on Texas's defense, Ant Hill, Colin Simmons, you know the names. The number one player on the field that made a difference defensively was Arvell Reese, Ohio State's linebacker. And that's a first-time full-time starter. He had a role in the past. But if Ohio State has an absolute animal linebacker that's going to blow up the opposition the way that Arvell Reese did against Texas, and you add that to the mix with Caleb Downs back there, like Matt Patricia called a great game, but Ohio State's talent, at least on the defensive side of the ball, were the most tangible, the ones that you could feel the most while watching it. Newsflash, they're good enough to win the national title again. So I don't know if they will. It's really hard to do it twice. The path now is harder than it's ever been. But I was very impressed with what Ohio State did. And much like I am confident that Texas will get back to scoring 40 points a game once they don't have to play Ohio State on the road. Think about, Jeremiah Smith had 43 yards receiving in this game, and they won. If I would have told you before the game that Jeremiah Smith had 43 receiving yards in Julian Sain's first start and told you no other details about playing Texas, they lost, right?
No, it sounds exactly like the Cotton Bowl when they beat Texas also.
Yeah, no.
But I have that fresh in my memory. So normally, no, I would have said they lost. Yeah.
The Cotton Bowl was an interesting game. The players are a lot different, and they almost lost the Cotton Bowl too. So I don't know. I'm very high on Ohio State, and I think that their fans should be rightfully the same way. And the question that I have back to you is, and I think that you can analyze Ohio State through this, but do you view Texas as in danger, or do you view Texas as an, oh, well, they played Ohio State? That happens when you play Ohio State.
Oh, well, they played Ohio State. And we'll see. I mean, if they go to Gainesville and get wrecked, that's a different story. But that's a long time from now. That's early October.
It's just an
they
interesting.
have plenty of time to get warmed back up. And yeah, they played a really good team. And by the way, Texas outgained Ohio State. Texas's defense played phenomenally in this game. Phenomenally. So I think Texas will be fine. But I'm with you, Ari. I think Ohio State will be very good. I think Julian Sayin has a chance to be very good. And if you want to start your Julian Sayin collection right now, go to PaniniAmerica.net. We are brought to you by Panini. We love this company. One of Ari's favorite things to do in the world, collecting cards. Julian Sayin is a Panini NIL athlete, and you can buy a Julian Sayin card right now on PaniniAmerica.net. You can buy boxes where you can pull much more rare Julian Sayin cards that have little numbers etched into them and possibly have autographs on them. But all of that is available at PaniniAmerica.net. Some of the best players in college football, and obviously very cool NFL product, very cool NBA and college basketball stuff. Ari, what you got? I know I can see you shuffling right now. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I'm always shuffling. I think I already showed these, but I'll show them again because I haven't. Hold on. You know what? I'll get up and I'll show some other ones. But Andy, I am all amped about this. You see me shuffling, you know what I'm doing.
I know what you're doing. You're going through the collection, which for Ari changes by the day.
Yeah, I'm a buyer and seller flipper. These are all graded cards. If you want to throw the camera back on me that I have, let's see what I've got here. And this is a really pretty card I just bought on eBay the other day because I think he's very cheap and very good. Is Zay Flowers. That's a Panini 1 Fractal RPA that's sealed. That's his rookie patch auto. I'm a big Zay Flowers guy. I know he's a little bit small, but we'll see how he goes. But I've got some really speculative plays that I've made here. This is a 2024 A.D. Mitchell autograph, red shimmer, first off the line to 35, PSA 10. It's a pretty card. I don't know if he'll ever make it, but was cheap enough to take a risk. Bryce Young, didn't give up on him. That's a tricolor.
I'm glad you didn't give up on him.
23 select. Here's one that you're going to laugh at. 2019 Panini Donruss Optic Purple Stars RPA. Rookie auto out of Donruss Optic. Miles Sanders. I think he's going to get some carries this year. And this was very, very cheap.
Penn State Nittany Lion, Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, the big kahuna here. This one is going in the vault. And I'm staying 2024 Contenders Optic Green Pulsar Jaden Daniels rookie card, PSA 9. Ooh. So, anyway, I don't want to show you all of them because we've got a lot of Panini to talk about. But as you can tell, I'm very deep into the hobby.
I can tell. Speaking of deep, the storylines for the LSU Clemson game, which is already over, got even deeper earlier this week because Dabo Swinney was talking about the game, and he gave each set of Tigers a grade, and then Brian Kelly took a little issue with the grade that his Tigers got. So let's see Dabo first.
If we make the first tackle, Wade's got the guy. He's got. I don't even know how his knee didn't go down, but he, without that run, like I said, the last 58 minutes is 2.8, and that is a physical group. It's a very smart quarterback, and that is a back. So they're gonna be a problem, and they got some explosive dudes, and it was a hell of a game. Down to the last play. right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day one of class. They made a 65, we made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
I like the analogy. Final exam, first day of class. I think the grading curve might have been a little off because I don't think that gives LSU enough credit.
I think what he was trying to say is it's impossible
Both
to be
teams
at
have
your
room
best.
for improvement.
Yeah. Like if he would have given LSU a 93 on the final exam, then the point would have been moot. Like I don't think that.
Yeah, but I think they're in the 80s.
They got an 80 on the final on the first day without taking the class. Then the thing doesn't work. You have to like do bad on it.
No, they're pretty smart. They're ahead of the curve. I think we can agree with that. I think we feel that way about LSU. We feel that way about Miami. We feel that way about Ohio State because they did pass these major exams on day one of class.
I did not take exception to what he said as if he was trying to disrespect LSU. Did you?
Not really. But Brian Kelly did, and that's what makes this fun. Yeah. So here's what Brian Kelly said.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half.
I like the little knife at the end. He probably didn't want to see the second half.
So this is
stab.
I know that like we're going to talk about Dabo and Brian Kelly beef right now, but I think there's a bigger issue at play here.
Okay.
Did anybody ever stop to wonder what Brian Kelly aura looks like, or confident Brian Kelly, or we have a chance to win the national title, Brian Kelly? Because I think that might be him.
That's him. Yeah, that's him. You're right. Because we haven't seen this at LSU yet. I don't think we ever really saw it at Notre Dame because he always kind of realized that his roster probably wasn't deep enough in that era of college football to win a couple playoff games in a row. But yes, I think you're right. I think this is a Brian Kelly who sees the possibilities here. And everything we saw Saturday night suggests they can win against anybody they play.
And it brought me back to the offseason when we had Dabo on the show. And Dabo was telling us that story about how he was at a restaurant and Brian Kelly was performing and he thought that was Brian Kelly from LSU and sent him a bunch of texts like joking about it. And Brian Kelly didn't really know what he
from
was
Florida Georgia Line.
I was like, he was being playful with him in the offseason. I don't he took that was a pot shot. I don't know that Dabo, listen, I used to criticize Dabo all the time and then had him on a few times and talk to him when the camera's not rolling, and now I feel like I'm a Dabo defender.
You are,
because
you're very easily swayed though in these situations.
This is the thing that's always been true about Dabo. He talks very long-winded, and he's always like chipper and in a good mood. But when he talks, it's very easy to misunderstand where he's coming from a lot of the time.
Right.
And when you misunderstand where he's coming from,
yeah.
If you misunderstand where he's coming from, sometimes he says things that are highly controversial. But when you zoom out, like what he was saying was, we played a 58. We got a 58. We're a really good team, but we didn't pass the test. And, LSU is a very good team. They didn't play their best either, which I'm assuming that Brian Kelly would agree with. They got a higher score than us. They beat us fair and square, but there's a long season and a long class to take. And at the end of the year, we'll take the final exam again, and hopefully we'll get a better score. Like that, like that's not mean. But
Ari, we're trying to play up the beef, man. What if these teams play again in the playoff?
This is not, the beef is low stakes. See, you're missing it. You're playing checkers. I'm playing chess.
Of course.
The high stakes is I am here for Brian Kelly, like flaming the entire world when his team gets good enough for him to do it. And like, I don't know if that was swag, because the way he did it was kind of just like, okay. But like, are we ready for Brian Kelly? And let's not forget that this Brian Kelly is the same Brian Kelly that offered Netflix more access than anybody in the country. And I wonder why. And what does this say about LSU? If a coach is willing to say that and wants to, take a shot, and he wants to remind the world that they're very good. We always talk about how you can learn from what a coach is telling you in a press conference, even if he's not telling you what he's telling you. I think that the inverse of that can be true, which is if a coach is displaying confidence in a way that he hadn't much in the past and is doing things like giving access to, his program, that they have a pretty good idea, a good, gauge of what their team is. And if I were an LSU fan, I would be fired up because this behavior to me, although irrational, seems to me to be an indication that this guy is confident that his team's got the goods this year. And then if he is confident that his team has the goods, I'm ready for a real beef. Big beef.
Another test coming, and you may feel like he's got the goods if LSU passes this one. They play Florida a week from Saturday in Baton Rouge. So we'll find out. Ari, next up, we got our friend Brett McMurphy, our On3 coworker. He broke an interesting story yesterday. Penn State headed from Nike to Adidas. Here's Brett. Brett McMurphy joins us now. Big story from Brett. Penn State headed from Nike to Adidas, pending board approval, of course. But yet another one going from the swoosh to the three stripes.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is for Penn State, there's really not much they have to do to the jersey. Substitute the swoosh.
Adidas can't screw this one up.
With the three stripes. Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see alternate Penn State jerseys out of this. But yeah, Andy, like you said, again, pending board approval, but I don't think it would get this far down the tracks. I obviously the board has to decide, but yeah, look, Adidas is making a big play in college sports. They recently got Tennessee. They've got some other big brands, Kansas, Indiana, Louisville, Washington, and others. And I think what intrigued Penn State the most is, I think similar to what Tennessee did with their deal, I think Penn State's going to do something similar, and that is NIL will benefit from this. I think Pete Nakos reported something this morning about that. But yeah, it's a huge deal. It looks like it's going to be a 10-year deal. And again, another indication of how vital new revenue streams are for a lot of these schools, even the big boys in the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, the entire revenue sharing world and this new world of college football, like I feel like every team probably has to try to eke out every single dime they can from every different angle, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, OU's charging $70 for some poor schmuck that wants to go listen to a post-game press conference. I'll give you my press pass for $20 and save you 50. But yeah, Ari, you're right. Everybody's doing. Alabama announced earlier today they're putting logo on the field. Maybe they're raising money for a different matter. Andy and Chris Lowe. Too soon. Andy and Chris Lowe, incredible story today on what's really going on at Tuscaloosa. A realistic look, not just a hot take. Fire the guy, which I thought was very insightful, and a lot of people. Not a lot, but everyone should read that if you haven't. But yeah, I mean, everybody, Ari, is doing it. Iowa's doing it. Naming rights for the field, logo on the field. Yeah, they're trying to squeeze every penny out of every revenue stream they can, and it's not going to stop. We're waiting for patches on the jersey. I think that's just a matter of time.
I can't wait. I really that seems like an off-season project for us, Brett. We got to figure out what company goes with what team.
We could have fun with that. Absolutely.
Well, like Memphis is going to have FedEx patches. We know that. That's a no-brainer. Georgia's going to have Coca-Cola or Delta. Like these are easy. It's Walmart really on Arkansas or Tyson Chicken on Arkansas. Arkansas may look like NASCAR drivers.
Wouldn't it be great if we ever got a patch on a traditional uniform that refused to change because of tradition? Like if they threw like a Cheez-It patch on like the Penn State jersey.
I mean, if they play in that bowl game, they will.
Yeah, I can't wait for an Eskimo Joe's logo on the Oklahoma State jerseys. That'll look sweet.
Well, actually, we walked in. So speaking of your alma mater, we walked into this because you sent this out yesterday, and I was dying laughing. We had a very long discussion on yesterday's show about Mike Gundy and what he said and what Dan Lanning said back. But Mike Gundy has been busy lately. He got his own NIL deal, recreating his famous rant, which happened, 18 years ago, for a cell phone company in Oklahoma. River, play that ad.
Yeah, Coach, any changes coming this week?
Yeah, I'm going to make some cuts. Look, Big Wireless wants to come after me. I'm a man. I'm not 40. I'm 58. Why would I overpay when I can get consumer sailors, unlimited plan, 2 lines, $30 each? Fast, reliable coverage, 2 lines, $30 each. That's all I got to say. Big Wireless makes me want to puke.
I really appreciate whoever wrote the script for that, because the best part of the rant back in 2007 was at the end when he throws the newspaper down and says, makes me want to puke.
Makes me want to puke. Yeah, I sent that out, broke that, if you will, on the web yesterday. And Gundy called me immediately and he goes, what do you think of my acting? What'd you think? What'd you think? I said, I look pretty good. He goes, look, I nailed it first take, but we still had to do like 30 or 40 different shots because they wanted to get all these different angles. But he goes, I crushed it the first time out of the gate. So maybe, in a distant future, we'll see Mike Gundy, the commercial pitchman, or who knows, maybe accepting an Oscar. I doubt it, but
Mike Gundy on TV when he finishes his coaching career really would be gold. I think he'd be awesome. All right, Rivers got the original rant video. Let's compare and contrast.
Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me.
This was sent to me by a mother of children.
Hey, there obviously that's, we're talking about it 18 years later. When that happened, I talked to a lot of folks at Oklahoma State, obviously my alma mater. They said the initial reaction was very positive because basically Gundy was standing up for one of his players that he felt was inaccurately portrayed in a newspaper story. Whether it was a fair representation of the player or not, we won't go down that rabbit hole. But what stood out to recruits' parents was, this guy is going to stand up for my kid. I love that. So while we make fun of it and continue to make fun of it every year when that date comes up, he did get a lot of mileage out of it. And look, I don't think he was doing that for recruiting purposes. He sincerely wanted to back his player because he felt he was unfairly characterized by the media.
And the greatest part of all this is because everybody, assumes when they see something happen that it's just set in stone and that's the way things always are. So Jenny Carlson wrote that story in the Oklahoman that set him off in 2007, that he was holding up, that he crumpled up and threw away. When we played the clip yesterday of Mike Gundy flashing the cameras because he was talking about his first experience on the road at Nebraska, it was Jenny asking the questions. They actually get along very well now.
Yeah, they get along really well. Yeah, she still covers the team. They've settled their differences, and she's an incredible columnist. But it is funny how things kind of come back full circle.
But his acting was pretty phenomenal because and the thing you got to remember about that one, the rant, the other part that makes that interesting is in the other locker room that day. So they played Texas Tech that day, and Oklahoma State crushed Texas Tech. Mike Leach in the other coach's press conference was the original fat little girlfriend speech. So wow. I just imagine all the Texas Tech beat writers like bounding back up to the press box to write their stories. Like, you're not going to believe what Leach said. And then the Oklahoma State writers coming back and be like, yeah, hold our beer.
Yeah. Probably the best, back-to-back press conferences, certainly in Big 12 history.
Yes. I'd say in college football history. I don't think there's any competition there.
Dude, Mike Gundy's had a hell of a week, guys. Hell of a week.
Well, when you get the NIL. Oh, guys, Brett, I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this. I just thought of this. We do need to address this on the show. The Pablo Torre finds out investigation into the Kawhi Leonard secret deal that the Clippers gave him to circumvent the salary cap with a $50 million, I think, to not add, it was an endorsement deal where he didn't have to endorse anything. How much did you guys laugh as you heard the details of that, because that is the most bagman ass story ever. Like, that is a 1984 college sports recruiting story, except instead of the person owning the 3 largest RV dealerships in Mississippi, it's the 6th largest human being in the world, or 6th richest human being in the world.
That was typical. And look, I'm a huge fan of Barry Switzer, even though I went to Oklahoma State. That is a quintessential Barry Switzer story from the 70s. That is a quintessential SEC story from fill in the blank, whatever year.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. The only other thing would have been better is if his job duty was make sure the automatic sprinklers come on.
It's incredible, but his job duty, like, they read off the contract on Pablo's show, and it's like, if you want to do this, but you don't have to. It's so funny because everybody's worried about this is what colleges are going to do to circumvent the rev share, which yes, of course that's what they're going to do. But the difference is they're going to make the kid post on it on Instagram, post about it on Instagram or on Twitter. Like, they're not going to not have anything for them to do.
And they're not going to put it in writing so someone can stumble on it.
Exactly.
The university isn't going to go make a shell company that will then give a player an NIL deal, right? Like, that would be like if, like,
well, this wasn't a shell company. This company was defrauding people, but it was a real company.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing.
That company by calling it a shell company, they were totally
yeah. It was just defrauding people. But here's the thing, like, and people ask, okay, why doesn't this happen more often in pro sports? We keep talking about it happening in college sports. The reason it doesn't happen in pro sports is because they have a collective bargaining agreement. The players agreed to it. They have very severe punishments if you get caught doing this. So I would assume the Clippers will lose draft picks. The Clippers may, like, you could have if they find out about it in real time, the contract can just be voided. So they could have voided Kawhi Leonard's contract and said, you can't sign with the Clippers now. And so that's what I think this college sports commission wants to do. They can't do it because they didn't negotiate it with the players. They'll get sued into oblivion. But if they ever do negotiate with the players, then they probably can create some rules like this, where if this happens, you can put the hammer down.
I think for punishment, they'll probably dock him some draft picks, and they'll make him sign Russell Westbrook.
Again? You have to have him again.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to be
a
pearl clutcher, because, like, when it comes to pro sports like the NBA and stuff, I'm just a consumer. I don't know anything about the NBA other than Kawhi Leonard's good at basketball. But isn't circumventing the salary cap like a major violation? Like, losing
Adam
draft
Silver
picks
called
in
it
the
a
NBA,
cardinal sin.
Like, that's like the worst thing that a team could do cheating wise in the pros, right? Like, signing players you wouldn't otherwise be able to have because of the salary cap restrictions. Like, that's crazy. They're trying to be like a college football team where they have more players than the other team, right? Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
It's exactly what they did. Kawhi was down to the Lakers and the Clippers and signed with the Clippers, and we were all like, what? Well, now we know.
Yeah, we'll see. They should be penalized heavily. We'll have to find out. But I agree with Andy. This is, as far as pro sports, this is like the top of the do not do list. Yeah.
Yeah. And in college sports, if you ever do get a CBA, you could make it at the top. You just can't do that right now. So we'll see. I mean, this is what they want to enforce in college sports. I don't know if they can as effectively. And also, again, no one's going to be dumb enough in college sports to put in writing that you don't actually have to do anything for this money. That contract was hilarious. Like, that's my dream. Just give me a contract like that. Shannon Terry, if you're listening, just email it to me now.
Andy wants to renegotiate. Let's go.
That's right. It's time. Yeah, I'm working with co-bylining with CeeLo now. We gotta strike while the iron's hot. But Brett, speaking of hot, you were in Miami for the Notre Dame Miami game, and Ari and I talked a lot about it after the game. I'm curious, from your perspective, how good did Miami's defense look in person?
Yeah, Andy, they looked really good. They had one busted coverage there, ironically in the fourth quarter that allowed Notre Dame to pull even. 65-yard pass down the sideline. Other than that, though, Notre Dame only had one play over 20 yards. I thought C.J. Carr was okay, but they shut down the running game. Jeremiah Love was a non-factor, 33 yards. Jadarian Price, got, I think, 45 yards on 6 or 7 carries. But basically, Notre Dame really didn't do anything. Miami kept everything in front of them. And I thought before the season, that's why I actually thought Miami would be better this year than last year. I thought the offense would regress. Obviously, you're losing Cam Ward. But I thought the defense, there would be so much improvement. There had to be after last year that they actually would be better. And I think, Andy, because of that defense, I think Mario and Shannon Dawson have kind of changed their strategy offensively. They don't have to take the big gambles. Somebody said to me, during the game, they said, we've had more check down passes tonight against Notre Dame than Cam had all of last season, because he always went for the big, hit or miss play. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of turnovers. And Miami was methodical too. They only had a couple plays over 20 yards also. So obviously one of those was the catch of the year from C.J. Daniels. But yeah, I really like Miami. And one thing real quick, I just noticed this. I don't know how I missed this because I always look at schedules. Miami, Florida does not leave the state until, you want to guess?
Oh, it's after the Florida State game.
How about November 1st?
Wow. Yeah, because they got
go
Florida
at
State and Tallahassee.
They go at Florida State. Then they have 2 home games against. They have a bye week. Then they have 2 home games against Louisville and Stanford. They go at SMU November 1st. That's their first trip out of the state. And their only other road games, 2 end of year games against Virginia Tech and Pitt. So I don't think weather may be an issue against Pitt. Maybe not Virginia Tech, but yeah, that win's huge for them. Certainly they haven't clinched a playoff berth, but they are in a great, great position if they can take care of business.
Yeah, they are. That stretch of they play Florida and then a couple weeks later play Florida State. That is going to be season defining. But the way the schedule works out, they've got the open date in between, which is really nice.
Yeah, but I think Miami looked good. Look, I think Carson Beck played really well. Like I've mentioned before, a lot of drop downs. I think that's Shannon Dawson's strategy, and it worked. I think he's throwing to running backs crossing. You guys probably talked about this the other day, but I mean, these guys are wide open. And then yards after catch. He made 2 incredible throws on both touchdowns off his back foot under pressure. Obviously, Daniel, 1 out of 100 times is you're going to catch the ball that Daniels had. But the other touchdown, he's about to get sacked. He lays it out there, leads the wide receiver. So it was an electric atmosphere, not quite like the Orange Bowl the last time I saw a Notre Dame Miami game in person. Andy, I will name drop. You'll laugh at this. I'm at the game as a fan with Scott Nesbitt, former coworker with us at the Tampa Tribune. I'm watching in the stands. I covered high schools back then. 3rd and 43. Steve Walsh completes a pass to Randall Hill. They get the first down on 3rd and 43 on a long pass. The Orange Bowl is going crazy. I'm standing up, had a few cocktails probably, can neither confirm or deny that. And I look to my left and Nesbitt is passed out in the stands while 70,000 people are going crazy. But yeah, that was my last Notre Dame Miami experience.
Hey, the old Orange Bowl. I was there Monday Night Football, 1985. Dolphins Bears, the only game the Bears lost. First time
that game was incredible.
First time young Andy smelled marijuana. So it was a school night. I was in 2nd grade. All right, Brett, you brought some trivia to us last week. We decided to make this a year-long competition. We got a scoreboard up.
Oh, here we go. I love it.
So this is where I strike back because Ari is killing me in the picks. So I've got this one. But all right, let us hit our trivia for this week.
Okay, so real quick, a couple of ground rules. You have to alternate answers. You can't just jump in and reel them off. Okay.
Okay.
Ari, since you're trailing, you go first. Okay. This is very simple. On Tuesday, Alabama remained ranked in the AP poll. That was the 208th consecutive AP poll dating back to 2008 that Alabama has been ranked. I didn't put them in the top 25. That's another conversation. So that current streak is the nation's longest streak and the second longest of all time. So here's the question. This week's trivia. Name the other 5 schools with the longest streaks being ranked in the AP poll. None of these teams, these are not current streaks. This is in history of the AP poll. Name the other 5 schools with the longest streaks. Ari, you go first. Whoever gets the number 1 team with the longest streak, a bonus 2 points for that.
Ooh.
Ari, you're up first.
And I can just name teams. I don't have to tell you they
Name
are.
a team. It does. I don't need to know the years.
I think Ohio State.
Okay, you get one guess. You get one guess, and you're wrong.
They don't. They didn't. They've never done that.
They're
not in the top 5.
They're not in the top 5 longest streaks.
Okay, so I'm just going to name off 4 more then.
No.
You've named Andy, one. It's my turn now.
Andy gets one. Then you get one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, buddy.
All right, I'm going to go with Florida State.
Florida State is third. Yep. From 1989 to 2001, they have the 3rd longest all-time streak. Okay, you're up, Ari.
Okay. Let's go with. I'm trying to think of teams that were dominating back. Is USC one?
Surprisingly, they're not. I believe they're in the top 10, but they're not in the top 5. Ari's going to hate this game by week 3.
I'm going to go. Let's. It's either Bud Wilkinson or Barry Switzer. Bring me home, Oklahoma.
That's incorrect. These are really good guesses. Like, I know the answers, so they seem obvious, but no, you're on the right track. You're just not there.
Okay. Nebraska.
All right. Bam! There's the bonus point. Nebraska, the all-time record from 1981 to 2002, 21 consecutive years they were ranked in every AP Top 25 poll. Nice job.
And obviously we can't include Alabama because Alabama's
right. Alabama's out.
Okay.
So we got 3 left.
All right, I'm gonna go Bino Cook. Notre Dame.
Actually, surprisingly, Notre Dame not.
Come on.
You know what I'm gonna do, and I don't know if this is true.
Then please say it.
I'm gonna needle Andy as he's sitting in front of his pool in Gainesville, Florida. Florida was really, really good consistently in the 90s. I'm gonna guess Florida.
Look at Ari's even calling out the year. From 1990 to 2002, 2009 consecutive rankings for the Gators. I'm giving you.
It wasn't like I was on any of those teams, so that doesn't. Oh wait.
Yeah. Ari, bonus points for that. Nice job. So we
great.
Got,
now I'm screwed.
We got Nebraska. Andy, who was your first answer again? The one you got
my
right?
first answer was
Florida State.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay. So Nebraska's longest streak, Alabama 2nd longest, Florida State 3rd longest, Florida 4th longest, and then we've got 2 teams tied for 5th. Andy, you're up.
Okay. Well, let's stay in the state, Miami.
Very good. Nice job. 162 consecutive rankings from 1985 to 1995, or as the Hurricanes call it, the good old days. So we got 1 team left. Ari, big week for you here.
I'm trying to think of. Okay, I'm going to go down to 2 SEC schools, and you know what? I'm just going to go with a team that's always good, Texas.
Oh, you got it. Amazing.
Mac Brown, baby.
Did I win the
Is it Mac Brown? Is it Mac Brown era or Darryl Royal era?
2000 to 2010.
And Mac Brown. Very nice.
162 consecutive AP Top 25 polls. Ari, nice. You cut into the Andy had a 5-point margin. I gotta calculate all these bonus points you racked in, but I'm sorry. I actually placed a wager in Vegas that you would be eliminated after this week, so that's not going to pass. So nice job, Ari. Nice comeback.
I mean, I guess I got lucky. I didn't know. We just picked, outside of the Nebraska one, which I remember they were just awesome for a long, long period of time. We're just naming off powerhouses and hoping we were right. I'm actually shocked to hear that Ohio State was not one of the ones. And I guess they had one bad year in 2008 that might have stopped it. But like, when were they not ranked in the last 15 years?
Right. Well, that's probably it. And again, all of these teams have been ranked for at least 10 years that are on the list, 10 consecutive years. So, yeah, Ohio State's really good for 15 years, but you split that up in the middle and break it up.
Yeah, 2011 is when they weren't ranked. So
you don't get.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of like what point. Yeah, the 2011.
It was 2011. So,
yeah.
Wow. All right, Brett, I'm very disappointed in myself. I'm gonna hit the lab. I'm gonna hit the gym, the trivia gym. Next week, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna be better. I promise.
I think Brett threw me a bone here because he gave a trivia answer that was just name teams that are recognizable and hoped to get lucky. Like when he starts hitting you,
he didn't even name the team I was on.
I know. Yeah.
This is
Andy.
This is my
Andy
fault.
should be penalized. Yeah.
All right, Brett. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Big day tomorrow. John Ewing from BetMGM will help us dive deep into the numbers and your questions answered. Dear Andy, dear Ari, you know how to find us. Andy Staples on3 at gmail.com, Ari.Wasserman at on3.com. Send in your questions. We will answer them on the show, and we will talk to you tomorrow.